Okay.
Yeah, he used to be a prosecutor. Now he's out here in
Tukwila doing. Yeah, I was trying to get him on my case. I had an accident, whatever. So good guy, man. Tell me when you're ready, man.
Mics are on. Everybody's hot. D, go ahead.
All right. What is up out there? What's up, y'all?
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, and welcome to another edition. Y'all already know. Now we had real quick. We had the mics dead because we were still doing some discussions. It got a little heated over here, and
Passionate.
yeah, it's passion, and it's man. This is going to be a serious conversation. But first and foremost, welcome again to another edition. You guys know what it is. Shopkulture every Tuesday, 8:00. You already know. And I am joined by Miss T back here.
Hello, I'm here this week.
How you doing, Echo? How
I'll
you
be
doing?
gone next week, though.
You be gone next week?
Yes, I'll be in Japan.
Going to Japan? Look at that.
Wow.
So.
Okay, yeah. Look. She just quiet
Travel with
everything down.
Tama.
Yeah.
I was like, shoot, I was just gonna go down the street. You know,
Yeah.
And then I want you to introduce yourself, my man.
I appreciate that. Yeah. First and foremost, I'd like to thank y'all for having me here. I wish it were under better circumstances because there's so many things that I do. My name is LaShawn Gamble. I'm an artist. I have a youth program where I use art as a therapy tool predominantly for our community, for our children especially. I am also less than a month away from being a licensed therapist.
My guy.
Master's in licensed mental health counseling, and
I love hearing that.
Yeah,
I love hearing that.
Pursuing my doctorate in psychology because I think that as a community, we've been left out of conversations around mental health and what that looks like, and it's predominantly why we're here today speaking on this topic.
And we just kind of started acknowledging and talking about and being an advocate of mental health. And so it's great to have you on.
Thank you.
To discuss it. And real quickly, you're right, under different circumstances, but these are circumstances that we do need to discuss.
Absolutely.
In our community. And real quickly, I'm not going to go into it right off the bat, but somebody had sent me some information in regards to somebody I think is known. Is that fair to say? In the area or Tacoma, what would you say maybe the radius of his pool or reach? Or
I would say he has a healthy pool in Tacoma. I'm not sure about Seattle, but I have heard of him in Seattle as well.
Okay.
I'm affiliated with Africatown in certain regards. I've worked with him for years, and he has popped up at some events affiliated with them as well.
Okay. Okay. Before we get in that real quickly, I make sure when you guys are tuning in, you guys say what's up, say hello. I always like to ask, how's everybody's weekend? How's your weekend real quickly?
Busy, worked.
Yeah.
Did my daughter's wedding.
Oh.
Very busy.
Wow. When is the wedding?
May 6th.
Wow. Okay.
I get back from my trip on April 30th, and the wedding is May 6th.
Wow. Coming
it's
up.
a quick turnaround, so it's kind of hectic right now.
Yeah. How was your weekend, man?
Got out into nature, got to play with some goats.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Went to Bellingham, hung out with a very important person to me, someone who kind of motivates me to be a better man. And so when I do things, I like to have people around me who support me, who see me, hear me, understand me when I make points. And I got a chance to really appreciate her for her birthday and went up north. And
you said Bellingham?
Yeah,
I love Bellingham.
Hey, we went to the Birch Door, man. I don't know if you've ever been
I
there.
have
What?
been there.
The Birch Door, right? They
What's
got
that?
this lemon berry French toast that, man, I'd choke a baby goat for. Not literally. It's good.
Okay.
It's good. Not literally.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'm a foodie. That really sounds amazing.
We go somewhere every weekend just about to try different restaurants. We'll drive all the way to Portland just to go eat and come back.
You're like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And me.
Okay. First one, what favorite? Now, do you eat steak?
I prefer elk, actually.
Ooh, elk.
See, I've had elk.
I stay away from
Elk is good.
factory farm type of foods. I'm
Okay.
very intentional with my life, specifically with my diet.
In your diet, you gotta be. You gotta be.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
There you go.
You gotta be. Real quickly, favorite restaurant then?
Man, I'll tell you this. If I'm thinking locally in Tacoma, I would have to say Quickie 2. It's a vegan restaurant, beautiful family, the Howells.
Yeah, downtown Tacoma?
On the hilltop, right on
Okay.
MFK and 13. They've been putting it down for like several decades, if
I'll
I'm
have
not
to check
mistaken.
that
Can you
out.
post the information in the link?
Yeah.
In the chat.
Yeah, I can do
on
it.
the
Yeah.
page?
Quickie 2. They're vegan, but it's a Jamaican family that runs it. And so,
Man, that sound bomb, bro.
oh man, it's
I think
decadent.
I've been
It
there.
is decadent.
I
So
think I've been there.
if you get a chance, go holler at Quickie too. Tell them LaShawn. They don't know me like that, but
Well,
but
just they're gonna know you on this show, man. Because hey, we got some pull. We got a little bit of pull.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
SK.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm all about supporting actual Black businesses, and I say Black with a apostrophe D because Black was done to us. It's not who we are.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm all about supporting Black businesses that are actually doing the work,
Doing the work,
supporting
absolutely.
the community, doing real things, not this predatory.
Oh snap!
approach
See,
to-
you already started.
You know, hey,
We about to
Here
get
we
into
go.
We
it.
about to get
We
into
about
it.
to get into
Yeah.
it.
Nick, real quick, Nick Jones. You see how I'm just trying to get I'm getting the
I
eyes
know,
watching and they
I
moving.
see. I know.
Gotta warm up into
So
it.
I'm warming it up.
Massaging up to the point. You know,
I'm telling y'all, you better watch this.
You
You
gotta-
better watch it.
Hang on,
Yeah,
everybody.
gotta get the formalities out the way.
yeah.
If you need banana pudding, go check out my boy D right there, the best in the game, D Jones.
That's a big statement because the banana pudding.
I'm
The butterscotch one.
yes, I
Ooh,
will stand
yes.
behind it. D Jones is the best in the game.
Hey, when I sample that, I will come on here again. And say,
Okay.
you know what?
Okay.
He put foot on. He
Okay.
put foot in it. If
Okay.
it is what it is, I'll say it. I
D,
have no problem.
D, you hear him?
I'm telling you,
Where's the rebuttal,
the
D? Come on.
butterscotch. The butterscotch. My favorite's the butterscotch.
Butterscotch.
Oh
Look,
yeah.
he almost passed out.
Man.
Got me
Yes.
out here throwing on.
Butterscotch banana pudding. It is amazing.
Jeepers creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Got me over here struggling.
Tell you what, I'll eat on your behalf. It's okay.
Nice.
If you can't handle it, it's okay. I'll eat it. I take over the team.
You know what? We need to have
Banana
more.
pudding.
We need to have a black foodie group.
I'm with it.
I am
black
so. I
food
love
Shop culture.
food.
Shop
Shop
culture
culture
foodie
because
group. There you
I
go.
am so.
I think all of
good.
us right here are because I love good food.
Oh,
And I'm
yes.
very picky and I'm very so when I put stamp on it.
They said you're not ready, LaShawn.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh snap!
You know what? Hey,
He's not ready.
I don't look at it as a point of challenge.
Yes.
I look at it as an opportunity to build and connect. There
There
we
you
go.
go.
There you go.
I'm
Go for
excited
it.
about it.
Go for
It's
it.
an opportunity for
Try
me.
it.
Either way, I'm a win.
There you go, man. Nick, how was your weekend, man? Talk to me.
Oh man, that was I was sloshed. I'm gonna just be honest. We got topped off on a Sunday too. I had to go to work the next day. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, I kicked it though. I didn't do much. It was a relaxing weekend of sorts. Saturday I just kicked it at the house. You know, recalibrated, and then Sunday cooked. Did like a Taco Tuesday, but on a Sunday. So it was a lot of margaritas.
So Taco Sunday,
tequila,
not Taco Tuesday.
right? Tequila and all of that. And,
What tequila? What type of tequila?
it was Hornitos. It wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
But we took the whole bottle. We took the whole bottle down. So
What happened about 11 o'clock at night?
I know exactly. I'm a Scorpio. Tequila's
Time
tequila's a
out.
Scorpio.
Talking about you're a Scorpio?
Tequila?
What's your
Tequila?
birthday? I'm a Scorpio.
November 4th.
I'm 15th.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you
All
go.
right, there you go.
Tequila is the official drink of the Scorpio. If there was a
Oh.
sport, that would be our sponsor.
oh, okay then.
No, the
Well,
sport starts at 11 o'clock. But anyway,
There you go.
real quick. Okay, so let's get into why we're here, though, bro.
right.
Um,
You want to set it up?
no,
or-
Nick Jones, you the one who you set it up, bro.
Okay.
Set it up for us, Nick Jones.
So, as y'all know, those of you who've been watching Shop Culture, you may have or may have not heard me mention me being in the space being, podcasting. I've been doing it for a while. And one of the things that's often talked about is how men seldom call out other men's predatory behaviors,
Come on, man.
especially when you know of said individual's predatory behavior.
Preach, Nick.
Now I understand to a degree, I don't want to get in the middle of that. That's not my business. That ain't nothing I want to be entangled up with, blah, blah, blah. But it does get to a point where you should absolutely get involved, especially when you know of the individuals this man can be preying upon or abusing in any way, all the different forms of abuse that we know of or that's known. When you know something, you should
Call it out.
and you're right, call it out. Act out if you need to, especially if it's like your sister. I mean, it could be
call it out then.
It could be your homegirl.
Yeah, you would call it out then when it affects you personally. You would call it out.
But you should definitely, if it's just a woman, period. And you know who this chick is. You rock with her. You should you should speak out and say something or do something. Don't go to jail, but as hard as that, or as challenging as that can be, considering, you know, varying situations, right? And so a friend of ours, friend of the show, I was notified about a post. My man right here, LaShawn, his post. And I went and checked it out. And the stuff that I found on said post was just alarming. To say alarming isn't even the word. It's just the accounts. And then not just the accounts. This isn't just women, you know, saying, oh, this happened to me. They're posting receipts.
There was
protection
numerous
orders and, you know, giving testimony to just wild ass experiences with this individual. So at first I was going to have the guy on the show. I'm gonna just keep it a buck with y'all. I was gonna have him on the show and, you know, just hold him accountable, press him, and see, you know, if he would keep it a buck with us, you know, the community that holds him to such a high standard. But then B came up with the idea of having, you know, Mr. Gamble come onto the show and give testimony instead. And I thought, you know, that we both collectively thought that would be a better idea. And I mean, we got that knocked out like within minutes. You know, B hit him up and you answered the call, and so here we are. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to you.
And real quickly though, I do want to tell this man, I want to give you props on that, because you did take a stand on something, and man, you put it out there on Front Street.
Yeah.
And even when I hit you up, you went into, hey, this is what I'm about.
Yeah.
And as another man, I respect that.
I appreciate that.
Right. I salute you, bro.
Yeah.
I sincerely appreciate that. Albeit that's not the reason that I did it. It's not the reason that it should be done. But I think that when you're in a space where we're often accused of not showing up for sisters or women in general,
right?
Which we know that that's not the case. But when you've been given a narrative that is so dismissive of our community impact, you have to, at times, be willing to challenge that. You know, I've never wanted to be somebody who defamed anybody's character, who was malicious in his intent, who approached a situation of this nature lightly. And so when it was presented to me, it was from a woman who was a participant in the group. I won't give her name, because then she'd get kicked out of the group and we wouldn't be here, because even women have to have those groups gate kept. You know, you can't just be sharing it. So
privacy has to be maintained.
And so I went through and I hid as much identifying information as I could. But unfortunately, when you're dealing with someone who is a predator, they know what they've done to people. And so they know how to suss out who is talking. Otherwise, why would he be reinstigating conversations with her or abusive practices with her because of that post? And so I don't take it lightly. I think that it is the duty of every man who has character and principles to stand up, and regardless of whether you know the woman, I didn't know any of these women.
Also, you didn't. So
I didn't know any of them.
So let's rewind. You didn't know none personally.
I didn't know them from Eve.
Okay.
And because if I have to take the stance, well, I got to know them in order to stand up for them, then I'm not a man. I'm a male who is acting in selfishness and cowardice.
Okay.
And that's my philosophy. I don't do that. I don't say to shame anybody else. I say that that's my approach to this reality.
Okay.
If I have to have some type of vested interest in the person that I'm supporting or standing up for, I have no principles on a human level. And so I have to acknowledge, like, these women are survivors of something that I've seen my mother go through. That isn't the reason that I did it. The reason that I did it is because we are men. Our duty is to protect, provide, and secure a reality for the women and children in our community. And if we don't do that, then we're not men.
I do want to,
factuals.
And man, you're speaking
factuals.
And honestly, we had a situation that happened before in this group, and this happened actually at the start of this group. We had a situation similar, and it was called up too. And that person put his neck on the line, and he got some fire thrown at him. But I always respected the fact that he said the same thing. He said, "I would do it again. I don't do it for the props. I do it because it's the right thing to do." So sometimes, man, we as a community have to come together and call out this predatory. And so can you go into details about what occurred? What do you feel comfortable sharing with us as a community?
I didn't take this situation lightly. And again, I did not seek out to defame another Black man in this community. There's too many opportunities for the society to dismiss us. I have this perspective that outside of Black women, the Black man is the most invisible. We're the most dangerous because we challenge the narrative. When we resonate in our divine masculinity, no one on this planet can stop us.
Man, come on, brother.
And so we have to be careful of our names. We also have to be careful who we associate with. And it became a problem for me as I was told a story by a woman that I trust, and she confided in me. And so I won't give the specifics of her situation because it's so specific. It might trigger. It would trigger her, but it would also let him know who I'm talking about.
Okay.
And he's the kind of man that I don't want him engaging with these women if it's at all possible. And so, needless to say, the story was, and I shared it with y'all, and I think you can agree that it's so disgusting that it borderlined on sexual assault. And he's fortunate that this sister didn't die in the act of what he was doing, because then we wouldn't even be having this conversation because he would have been held accountable. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, his name is Zareel. I won't give his last name, but it's not hard to figure out who I'm talking about. And the post that I created was largely in support of women that I don't know, women I've never met, women that I probably will never meet. But that's not the point. The point is if I call myself a man of the community, I do this work, I invest my mind, spirit, soul, my body into this, I have to at some point be willing to put my name on the line and challenge these narratives put forward by a predatory man who has systemically abused numerous women to the point where you can look him up and there are 47 plus cases that we know of.
Okay.
But those are the ones we know of. And when you realize how the justice system works, most of these women will never get the kind of justice that they need. They will get a protection order, but then he's the kind of person, he filed for counter protection orders as a point to abuse the victims further, and they dismissed them. And so you can see that too. And it's the kind of thing that a narcissist would do, to the point where now he has a post that we all talked about earlier, where he talked about, they're trying to assassinate his character. Meaning me, I don't benefit from this. In fact, I'm likely to do myself some harm because of the connections that this man has to the community. And still, if I value this community that I want to uphold and support and defend, I have to be willing to put my name on the line for that.
Okay, so a few questions.
Yeah,
I brought up the post too.
Okay, is the post
it's
visible to everybody, or
I can make it visible? Hold on.
I think people need to have some context
yeah.
what we're discussing and talking about.
Well, I'll set that up. You can go ahead.
Okay. What made you? Because you saying you as a protector are doing this. What was your primary reason to come forward with this? Because this is huge.
I didn't know it was going to get the traction that it got, honestly.
Because when I look at it, I didn't know.
I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many? I mean, there's.
I haven't even kept up with it after the first day, because after I get over 24 people in my DMs talking about thanking me for this, it makes me feel uncomfortable, because this should have been done. This man, where I'm from, he'd have been carried out into the street, or at least I would like to think that. But the sad fact is I'm from the South, and this stuff goes on in families. It goes on in communities. It is largely supported by our community, because we got that rule where, hey, we keep it in the house. It ain't nobody's business.
R. Kelly, I'm sorry.
Right.
Well, it's plenty of them.
Yeah,
Somebody uncle right now touching on their kid, and they ain't gonna do nothing about it.
Yeah.
Right.
And we laugh about it. Actually, we laugh
brothers.
about it. Talk about, hey, don't leave such and such over with uncle, and it's funny. It's not funny though.
It's not funny. No.
But we are people who have figured out how to utilize this internalized trauma that we have, and we make a joke about the worst things, because otherwise we would be held accountable to the tragedy, the trauma that we've experienced. And so we have to laugh, or otherwise we wouldn't exist in this reality, because this world would burn to the ground with our anger, with our righteous indignation.
Okay.
It's a lot.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna read the post
Okay.
here.
Let me hear it, please.
All right. So it says warning: sexual assault trigger with named individual, which you've already named.
Yes.
King and Pierce County. As a black man, I know what it is to have my character defamed due to malicious intent. This ain't it. This is in service to the women in my community who keep getting hurt by this guy in question, or not in question, by this guy. I have my own awareness of them. So if you come on here saying it's hate, you're probably a predator as well. This post ain't for clout chasing or to hurt a person I don't like. What this post is a man who is tired of seeing damaged women and children multiply because we men aren't protecting the women and children of our community. This man has 47 plus cases of abuse and fraud. This doesn't happen because of haters. This is what community predators look like. Not calling out people who hurt the community is acceptance, and we don't do that here. And we have, few.
Well, is that an actual post from a woman?
These are accounts.
This is a different post.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't in the group. This is just someone who shared their experience.
Yeah. So what I'm going over now is exactly that shared experience.
So a lady actually shared this post that I'm looking at right here.
Right. Women in business, please be careful of who you contract with. There are a lot of entrepreneurial sex offenders, and they're willing to offend again. Listen to your instincts. Be rude, leave, and carry on. Do whatever you need to do. Also, don't keep it to yourself. I'm good, but I almost caught a case. That's one. And I'm gonna just go ahead and breeze through this. I met a black entrepreneur out here about a year ago. My first impression was that something was off, and I needed to pay attention. My next encounter, I watched him and his mannerisms, the things he said, and I told my friend he wasn't right. He hates women. I've seen him at other events, and he comes under the guise of supporting the other black businesses, but it's really a ruse to prey on the women there. He throws around his connections and contracts to make himself seem like he's a stand-up guy, using it to lure in women. The people out there love him like he can't do any wrong. Every time you look, he's somewhere speaking, raising a flag, or pouring fake energy into kids, but it's all a lie. He's a serial abuser with a long rap sheet in 2 states. It's all going to come out. He's getting cocky. He's unraveling. Remember, background checks are free.
So this is another,
right? That was the guy. Yeah, he spoke about so yeah, these are all just different accounts of it's wild to say the least.
And one of the things that I really want to point out is that there are women even in those comments talking about, well, he's never done anything to me
Yet.
Yeah, I saw
and
that. Yeah.
One of the problems with that is now you've got women gatekeeping reporting of other women. And so because he hasn't done it to you doesn't mean he didn't do it. Because he befriends you and actually does stuff for you doesn't mean he didn't do it. And unfortunately, what that looks like is it allows him to leverage those female relationships that are, if I'm going to be completely honest, you're a prop. You're a prop in order to facilitate his abuse of women he feels can't hold him accountable. And if you look at the demographic of women he approaches, he's less likely to do that with a darker melanated sister.
okay.
And so
You're saying that this particular person has a particular type.
he has a type. And
Why you don't think is it just a preference, you think, or is it what do you?
I can't speak to that part. What I can speak to is that when someone leverages the Black community to defend them when they offend someone who is non-Black or who passes, what we call in the South the paper bag test,
Know about that? Yeah.
that allows for him to leverage the Black community to his benefit. Oh, this is just another woman who I thought she was different, but they just want to take a Black man off his horse, and that's not the situation. I don't know every last one of these women. I can't attest to their character. I can attest to how culpable they were in the situation. But I do know that when you've got this many examples of your nature, it would be foolhardy to dismiss it.
There's a lot here. And if I'm looking at it from the opposing view, when we do hear about things, even that's happened to, people, celebrities, because you had your Kobe Bryant incident, you had the R. Kelly, Michael Jackson. The first thing is not to ever believe the victims.
Well, I mean, with celebrity, there comes this mindset that this person is above reproach. And so even community people who are abusive, like this one character right here, he feels like he's above reproach. Because if you look at the post that we talked about earlier, who's assassinating his character? The court system? Because that's what this whole thing was predicated on.
Now, and that's what I have to ask. Has he been found guilty of any
fraud and abuse?
Yeah, because I was even reading about accounts that stems past.
So we know this for a fact.
Yes.
I was reading about testimonies about just the abuse, sexual assaults, and all of that. And then from a business perspective, people that he's, I guess, went into business with, scammed them, fraudulent activity. He's had past employers that's worked for his company come out and air him out. It's all on that. It's all on that thread.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so much more than that thread. But for the sake of one, I was spending hours cultivating that so that I didn't put any victims through anything that they weren't ready for.
Right.
But it's exhausting to have to read through the brutality of it all. And so if this were my sister, this man would not be breathing today.
I think if it's anybody.
But think about it like this. But think about it like this. Why then do we allow it to happen? What's the nature of us as a people that sees a predator and on some level we understand it? When in actuality, if we were victimized to this degree, there would be no respite. He would not be able to rest in the community. He definitely wouldn't be able to be around children. And so
does this move past allegations to, because that's another question though. Does this move beyond the allegation?
I have a question.
Point.
Yeah.
So many years we heard that saying, boys will be boys. Do you think part of that falls into that category?
I don't know if you can call this.
Because I mean, think about it. Because there's so many misbehaviors over time, sexual assaults and things have gone on. And like, well, boys, they stole their oats, they do this or that, and it's been excused and glossed over for a long time. Do you think that has any bearing on this? Any influence on this?
Me and I've been around with never.
Yeah, we don't do that.
We don't. That's beyond boys being boys when you're talking about. And,
because he's not a boy, he's a grown man, but I'm just wondering about that mindset.
And I really want to ask that question about, does this move beyond allegations? Because there is still a fine line between alleging and guilt.
Well, for the sake of lawsuits, we allege this.
Okay.
Because I don't want y'all sued. And I don't want to get sued. I have no problem facing down an accuser.
I mean,
if I got
this gentleman this morning, come on and state it then.
I mean,
come on. And if because we didn't come with this overnight. No. This was constantly brought to our attention and because some of the victims are in Shopkulture group. Yeah. And ask, hey, why aren't you talking about this? If you're the voice of the community,
right?
Why aren't you bringing this up?
I mean,
and I think it was a fair question, and that's the reason why I seen that your post, and I was like, well, okay, let's talk about it, especially after 47. That's a lot. That's more than
R. Kelly guy. That is a lot. I'm being facetious, but seriously, but that's a lot of instances of hurting people, regardless of what the nature of it is. That is a lot of instances of public records, if you've got,
and this is public
record. This isn't something that I just found. I was like, oh
no, because I wouldn't check shit out.
If I wanted to defame someone for the sake of popularity, why would I go after someone who is sitting here who has aspirations of being political in the community? Why would I go after someone who could essentially, if it got to the point, they could destroy my name if it were I was being malicious?
All right. So this person wants to run.
This person is being groomed to be a political face in the Black community.
In the Black community,
yes, because when we do something, we might engage with the public itself, regardless of demographics, but it directly impacts us. And what does it look like when we've got a sexual predator and a fraud representing us on a public platform like city council? Running for mayor, a lot
of us don't vote though. So
I don't vote because it makes me culpable to these devils like this situation here.
This is one of the, but and that's another reason why we don't have a voice behind and we don't know. This is what happens though.
Yeah.
People like this. Yeah. If this is the case, become part of our.
Yeah.
And then now that it's out there, you know, if you what's his name again?
Zarel.
Well,
I'm saying,
what?
you know,
Oh.
if you catch the stream, if this ends up getting back to you, the floor is yours. You definitely can come in here and we can definitely have that conversation.
Because this man, and he said, "Hey, I'm coming up, and I'm calling it out." And honestly, as a community, as brothers,
it needs to be rectified.
Yeah,
we got to do certain things that we can't stand for as a community. We call ourselves a community, and we're always going back and forth about nonsense on the Shop Culture group, right? And it's fun.
it's catharsis. Yeah.
Yes,
it's catharsis. Yeah,
but there are instances where there's some seriousness that needs to be discussed.
Yeah,
and some home cleaning if that's the case.
Because what happens if this were children?
We
dismiss this so
cool
readily? No, I advocate for children on a daily basis. And
so I feel what you're saying.
But what happens if this were children? Because I also shared a post that discussed children being abused, and you know what happened? No one interacted with it.
Really?
And so here we are again defending more predators in Tacoma, Pierce County, King County, Seattle. And so by silence, you are in support of this behavior if you know these individuals and you aren't calling them out. If you are allowing them to go into spaces and potentially influence children, damage children, sexually abuse children, or influence them in a way that makes them predatory in the future, then you are culpable just as much as the person that you ignored doing these things to these women.
Real quickly, somebody's asked,
and
who can prove these accusations?
The victims and the court system and the 47 plus accounts of what this man has done to people.
And I don't want to just constantly put this person in, because if listen to it's been discussed here. It's been on the thread too. So it's on the thread.
Yeah.
The person's name. So if you don't believe this young man, look up. I always say research the stuff yourself. You know,
due diligence. Stop
expecting other people to do your work in order for you to have an opinion about. Listen, go in there and research it.
Yeah, and
my man is not hiding from it. He said, "Here he is."
Yeah,
throw the post.
And someone asked, "Why is he not here?" Well, as someone who is seeking to be licensed as a mental health counselor of a graduate degree, soon to be going into a psychologist degree, I can tell you that him being here, having the platform to sit and denounce and denigrate these women, would further allow for other women to be abused and victimized. And while it is important to hear the sides, quote unquote, of the story,
which is why I'm inviting, we're leaving the floor open for him to come and give his testimony on these accounts, if he so wishes to do so. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
But how will we then parade every last woman who was victimized by him in order to retort his claims? Because that's what he's doing on social media. He's got a base audience who he's dismissing. Oh, this is just character assassination. It's not character assassination. I don't care to character assassinate anybody. He's been to some of my events. He supported me in some of my events. So what would it benefit me to then denigrate this man in public? So for the people who think that this is vindictive, this is spiteful, this is hate induced, then you don't know me. You don't know me at all. And I challenge you to go to the post, engage with the people who do know me, and you will get a very different reality check. Because I'm not someone who says things lightly. If I stand on it, I stand on it. And if this man was saying, "Hey, I don't like what you're saying about me, let's throw hands," it is what it is.
Ding ding.
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to promote violence, but you can't. I understand you can't just say this about somebody and expect someone not to feel.
This is serious.
Yeah.
So I take this serious, very seriously.
Okay.
I take this very serious because it's not only is it my name, it's my safety.
Yes. Are you worried about your safety?
No.
Not at all?
No. Because the ancestors imbued me with a certain character. And if I sit here and cower to a man who doesn't even respect women, which is one of the highest points of divinity, I wouldn't be a man. I'd be just like him in some degree.
Okay, bro.
But it's not about calling someone, denigrating somebody. I want to continue to hammer on it. It's not about putting somebody under the bus to advance myself. And if I never sell another painting because of this, I'm totally fine with it, because the safety of our community should matter more than my individual perspective of profit.
Can we talk about, so what has your interaction been with this person on a personal level? So maybe that can give us some backdrop about.
Yes, good
So
question.
I did an event at Intentions Juice Bar. I do events with Africatown at Emoji Fest. I do tons of events all up and down I-5 corridor.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen him at numerous events. And when I tell you, despite the fact that he's a pleasant guy, he's never had anything directly to say to me to put me in a point of contention with him.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, short of the first encounter where someone told me about his nature, I didn't think anything of him other than the fact he's a little bit off. But that was about it. Like I'm a little off.
What do you mean a little off? Like just
I'm socially awkward. I'm socially awkward because I'm not from here, but I also grew up in a way that led to me to be socially awkward. I don't want to get into that.
Okay.
But
that'll be the next show. We're going to
Oh my God.
But
I'm sure, yes.
Therapy sessions with
Yeah.
Shopkulture.
Yeah. But then there's, when there's women around, and then there's this feeling. My spider sense tingles around certain individuals at certain times when there's women present. And no more did that happen at my event at Intentions Juice Bar. Beautiful environment. The owner, Marquita, phenomenal host, and she does great work. I love her to death. And he showed up, and you would have thought it was his event. I don't care about that. It's not. I don't care about that in the least. If you need to peacock in order to make people see you, okay, that's something else. But then when you start engaging with women at the event to the point where they become uncomfortable, and then they come to me talking about why is this man like this? Why is he all up on us like this? Why now? Not only do I got to shift out of my business mind frame, now I've got to shift in the protector mind frame. So it was apparent to me that there was something about him that was beyond. Mind you, this is after someone told me about the character that he had. So I didn't assume anything about what she said other than the fact that I need to watch this man.
Okay.
So, but when I saw him engage with the women at the event, it was very clear that there was something that was not right. And any woman who has been in a space where they've been feeling comfortable to a degree that's beyond just, yeah, he's a little overly friendly or in my face a little bit too much. There's something. I'm of a mind that we got to make sure that there's not something there. So it took me. Let's see. My event was months ago. So I sat on. Not only did I sit on the information that my friend told me about how he interacted with her for almost a year, but then now I've got witness to his mannerisms around women of a certain variety at my event. Fast forward three, maybe 4 months, I get a DM from one of the women who was at the event. I won't give any specifics about her nature at the event, but just to say that she was friendly with him as well. They knew it, like they interacted. And she's the one that sent me the post from the group talking about, hey, I got a date with this guy. Anybody got any tea? That was the nature of the post in one of those women's group. And when you go into the post, you have account after account after account, and I could do this.
Are we sure that's not, because
that's what I thought.
Are we sure there's not hating going on?
That's what I thought until
because some people are. We have to say it.
Yeah,
vindictive. Some feel like they've been done wrong, so
Absolutely.
They say and they allege different things. So again, I always say allegations, versus guilt.
Well, we also know that people who are charismatic, people who have resources, can escape culpability quite easily. And then you go and look at the public record. And then you see the quality of these statements in the public record, and you see the similarities. Because as someone who is a mental health professional, if I were to look at these case documents as a case concept, right? It's one of the things we do in when we're developing our skills as a therapist. You look at a case concept. How many interactions this man's had with the judicial system, how he engages with women in the community or in his personal life, how he shows up is more likely to show who he is versus the things he say. And sure enough, the fraud, the abuse, the stalking, which is, so
real quick, Nick, when you looked, you seen it. Is it everything that my man is laying out about when you look up the paper trail?
When I went and checked it out, it just shows you cases stemming back all the way to 2008.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then you don't see it just shows like the date, whether or not he was a defendant. Most of them from what I saw said defendant.
all of them but two.
Okay, and
Yeah.
so
Okay.
but maybe because I don't know how to navigate the site, I wasn't able to go in and see what those
Talk to some of these sisters. They know how to do background checks.
All those cases pertain.
They know.
I didn't see what the nature of those cases were. I just
Yep.
went and saw that. Damn, it's actually 47 plus cases. Like,
Yeah.
they, you know, this is.
It's a pattern.
And real quickly, some businesses, some people have been sued a lot of times.
Well, when you do bad work, you're going to get sued.
Okay.
And
I didn't
so-
say okay. I don't
So-
know about.
I mean, it is what it is. If you do bad work, you're going to get sued.
Oh, okay. So someone said you have to call the court and have them mailed. All right.
Yeah. But there's other ways to go about it too. And if you know victims, they have all the paperwork. So it's very easy to get a transcript from the court.
Okay, so real quickly, because I some of the questions, and I just want to go back around here. So, do you actually know some of these victims? No, you don't know any of these victims.
Well, I know one of them because she was the one that introduced me to him in a different light.
So then, from the outside, somebody can say, "Well, then you really don't know."
Well, I would
you're alleging.
I would say
Because somebody could kick back with that rebuttal.
I would say to that individual, I held on to the awareness of this man for almost a year before I made this post. And I made this post begrudgingly. And I actually asked in the group if I should make it public because not only do I want to protect the people who've been victimized, but this is not a light thing to do. Once you put someone's name out there as a predator and as a fraud, this is forever going to impact him. So this is not something that I have any gain from. And someone was like, "Oh, you got to come on here and talk about somebody else's business." Do you think?
Somebody called me. What did they say?
They said not.
Are they calling me out?
They said not necessarily by. This is Kalina.
Oh,
shouts out to Kalina.
Hey, how you doing? So
she says not necessarily by mail. I can get this information for you offline and send it to you, B, if you want me to.
Well, I mean, I think, man, this is just so deep. And again, I think one of our things is, in reason real quickly why we brought it up, because we were just talking about, we're going to talk about predators.
Yeah.
And this is not the only situation.
No, it's not.
And I've had several people, when I put this post up, sent me information actually about people I know, but I don't have the details. I don't have the paperwork, so I'm not going to talk about that.
And that's what how I approached it.
Yeah.
I didn't have all the paperwork, so I didn't post it.
Now, on this situation, I'll be honest with you, it wasn't just you.
Yeah.
There was actually several women. And at first, of course, when we hear that as men, we do get a defensive back, like,
yes.
Okay, what's the proof looking like?
Yeah, because we know that, one, there are female predators. There's a network of protection for female predators.
And there's some women that are very malicious.
And they're very malicious as well. Like, so not only are women actually able and capable of being sexual predators, they're also much more malicious in the fact that they can destroy a man's life with false claims. I'm very well aware of that. I myself, like my son's mom did that to me when my son was less than 3 months old. And so, I can pass a background check, but forever there will be a protection order on my record because this woman decided she wanted to make sure to ensure she had custody rights beyond just, what, two mutual adults would get. So if I ever go try to challenge her in court, like, so I understand. So without all my business out there, I understand what that looks like. It's one of the reasons why I think a lot of brothers, and if I remove the cowardice from it, because that's still there, but if I remove the cowardice from it, if we're not looking at ourselves in the mirror and questioning how culpable we are to situations like this, then we're not having deep introspective conversations with ourselves. Because all of us know somebody that's been abused and we dismissed it to some degree because we didn't have evidence, because we know what it's like to be a man who is maliciously defamed. So I get that part. But when there comes a point in time where it becomes so egregious that you can see that there are numerous women being hurt, and by proxy, the children in these relationships are being hurt, you have to at least acknowledge, what part do I play in this community? And if I'm going to say that I'm a man and I believe in justice, I believe in principles of what it is to be a divine, especially a black man, I gotta fall on that. I gotta fall on my own culpability. I gotta fall on the fact that I didn't speak about this almost a year ago.
Let me read this comment to you real quick.
But what would happen if you were wrong? Well, I mean, okay.
That you're on it because this is basically what this comment is anchoring to. It
If
says
you're wrong, those
it
okay,
says you don't have any solid paperwork on anything but some accusations, unless it says he was or has been convicted. So what do you say to that?
I would say, how many celebrities you know who are able to skate the system? I would say, how many men do you know who have means to go to court and fight that? How many women do you know who've been victimized to the point where they don't even tell their stories because of people who ask asinine questions just like that? And in fact, if you got on the post and you read these comments, you would see they were more than vitriolic. You would see that there's documentation. And if you really care to know, you would do your research like I did.
They're going to be asking for you're in the group, right?
I am in the group.
Okay.
So, okay, you're in the group. You can put the post up in the group, right? The post that you have in there.
And I didn't do that. I didn't share this post. I didn't seek any attention from it.
No, I got it. Yeah, it went up. The post went up.
Oh, it's up. I just think that there's a taking this out.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that we do have to have conversation. We do. Now we're not judge and jury though, and I think it's important that we all realize that. But when listening and hearing some of the rebuttals, I don't know, man. It's just a lot of people, and it's unfortunate for everybody involved.
Because think about this, right? Let's just say someone comes to you. Matter of fact, let's make it personal. Let's say she comes to you and says, I had this very bad experience with an individual. And you say, nothing. How about that? You say, damn, that's messed up. Or you kind of dismiss like, well, what evidence do you have? Anyone who has known someone to be a victim, please.
Or what women often have is, what did you do to make that happen?
Victim blaming. And so I've talked to women, and it's not just a handful. I've talked to women who were like, I didn't tell anyone because of comments just like this person made right here. And it ain't just accusations. It is documented. When you've got 40-
Can you understand comments like I don't know who commented it? Can you understand those comments? Because
I would ask where they're coming from.
Huh?
I would ask where they're coming from because I want to understand.
Yeah, because you can't. I get your point. Yeah, but as men, we have been, at least I know men that have been falsely accused.
I have as well.
And man, that doesn't end. It never ends.
No, it doesn't.
Your name is attached to it. I mean, I've had times when we're talking about players back in the early 90s. Like, oh yeah, you remember he was brought up on rape charge? I'm like, well, who remembers? So we got to be careful on that.
Absolutely.
And that's another thing is, we just have to be really have some careful intention when we're discussing and talking about things like this.
Yeah.
Does it have teeth to it? I don't know. I mean, I do know some of the, I do know several people that say that, and they wanted us to discuss it and talk about it. But I always said I was going to come from the point of, I'm going to ask questions.
As you should. I think that any person who is in a media position should weigh what the benefit of the conversation is and what is the purpose of said conversation. Like, what do I gain from this? And I've expressed to you, there's nothing for me to gain from this other than the fact that women feel safer around me, feeling safer to come and confide to me, not only because I'm a therapist, because I'm a man who did something that numerous women have done in the past over the number of years, and no one believed them. Now, if you really question, is this just accusations? Go to the post and talk to the people who made the comments. Ask them the intimate details about why they didn't talk about this sooner, except when a man posted it. Why does it take a man to post it for it to gain traction? A man who, by all rights and reason, has nothing to gain from this, and who I've actually had nothing but relatively polite and positive interactions with this man. What reason do I have? Other than the fact that there are women who are in numbers being silenced by an abuser.
I have a question. Yes, so as men, when you see a situation happening, so for the men out there who are watching and engaging, what should they do? What can they do in a situation, they see something happening or hear something happening? What
It seems to me,
is there like a script they use?
It seems to me, and going from just looking at these some of the comments, if you don't have concrete evidence saying whether or not this individual is guilty, that's what they're going off of. They need to see, is this person guilty or not?
Yeah, but my question is, if you're out somewhere and you see something happening,
you see something happening,
yeah,
or hear something.
If you see something happening, if
hearing it is
not hearing.
Okay.
Let's suppose you're out somewhere and you see a situation.
Mm-hmm.
As men, what does it look like for you for a man to intervene? What do you think men should be comfortable doing or saying, or how do you think they can help in a situation, a woman's in a situation? What's your interpretation of that?
I'll try to de-escalate.
What does that look like?
I'll try to if I see it, I'm going to try to de-escalate it the best way that I can without any type of malice or violence. You know what I'm saying? Because, and then also in the back of my head, I need to understand that it could go there. So I got to be ready for that too.
Yeah.
You know, because we've heard about countless situations where men will go in and intervene on a woman's behalf, a woman that he don't even know. He's just like you said, the example that you've presented. You know, him and his chick is out and about, and he see another dude and his chick going, you know, he upside her head and some more shit. And so then he decides to step in, and dude, you know, he gets irate with this man, and now dude is dead.
Yeah, and there's instances where the women actually are.
And that's another thing too, KB, call the police too.
Yeah, the women are actually there are women who are in those situations who will, once you get into it with their significant other, despite him being an abuser, these women will actually assault you for coming to their defense. And so I think it's a dynamic engagement. When you look at the nature of domestic violence, I mean, but you also have pimping out here. Like let's call that out too, because there's a lot of pros out here getting pimped.
Now wait, see.
And so then are you talking about relationships? Or are you talking about these commercial experiences that these people are having together that they've agreed to? I'm not going to. We
applaud pimping in our community.
I'm not going to get into that, because that's a whole different conversation that's rooted in the brutalization of our women. But I think that as a man, ultimately, and this is probably going to rub some people the wrong way, if I'm not willing to die for my community, what is my purpose? Because ultimately, we are the warriors that prevent the monsters from brutalizing our women and children.
That's you coming from a community mindset, which I respect, but
it's also
you, as you know, within our community, the Black community, you have a lot of individual type, you know, mindsets.
Yeah.
So again, going back to what I was saying earlier, hey, that ain't my problem.
Yeah.
Or the situation that you present, or the example that you presented, T. You got cats over y'all. Let's go ahead and keep it pushing. That ain't got nothing to do with us. Hurry up, get in the whip. You know, you ain't getting involved in that. So you have more of that
than you have
what you're talking about, is what I'm getting at.
The bare minimum approach, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's always gonna be FTP over here. Like, I don't rock with the boys in blue. That's just not. I haven't seen enough of them engaging with us in a positive light, and I would be happy to have a conversation with them based off this statement. But I'm gonna tell you like this: as much as I despise the system, we got to instigate that, because we got this falsehood that, oh, if I call the police, it's snitching. Do y'all even know what snitching is? Like, if I do something with somebody and I want to get a lighter sentence, that's snitching. That's telling. Just calling the police to a lot, though, is snitching in this. Calling the police because I just witnessed what could end up being a murder or a homicide. Yeah. That is their responsibility to defend the community. That's supposed to be what they stand for anyway. We don't see a lot of that. And so it makes us less likely to want to engage that. But I'll tell you this, if I am someone who is out here and I say that I support community, I at least got to do the bare minimum. And the bare minimum is ensuring that situation is rectified in a safe and proper manner. I don't have to throw my body against it every time. But this instance right here, no one else was going to.
I do got a question, or maybe more a statement. You know, because people say, "Oh, I got more proof," which is, and I'm with you on that. But in the same token, let's say my sister was dating a man, and I heard that there's more than 15 or 20 instances of behavior.
Yes.
Am I going to wait for paperwork, or am I going to wait? So.
Well, it's evident through some of the comments, and then what we've heard.
I'm just saying,
you got cats that they want to see concrete. They don't want to make no moves until they see.
What I'm saying is, I'm with them to a certain extent until it hits home.
Yeah,
And I
everybody.
think
I see your point on that.
Right.
Yeah.
and
you're
then
not
it
your
hits home.
sister.
Then all of a sudden, I paperwork. What?
Yeah, I gotta tune this cat up because he hurt my sister or my cousin.
Or he's, so it's a hard balance,
Right.
Because as a community, we do got to speak on certain things.
Yeah.
And if he wants to come on here, more than the platform's open.
I know.
But I am going to ask questions like I asked you questions.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want to make sure that the audience do have an opportunity to hear both sides of it. And you said you're willing to put your life and die on it.
It's a. I mean, I went to
Right.
the military on that principle.
I know of a situation way back when I was a kid where a woman I know of, her husband was beating her on a regular basis. Her brothers found out. They didn't call the police. They got their guns, paid him a visit, said, "Ever touch our sister again? The last time you touch our sister again," right? And that ended that problem. I'm not saying that that's always how you rectify things, but when it is someone that you're close to, sometimes men don't look at the same way. They're like, "Oh, wait a minute, this is my sister." Thing is, every woman is someone's daughter, and possibly someone's sister.
I mean, I look at it as that's a human being. I don't have to justify my reasoning to protect other people.
Right.
And unfortunately, as we've gotten more isolated and picked up these, and I'm gonna say it, we got these Eurocentric mindsets of individualism, rugged individualism that don't even exist in their community. We are sitting here and we are creating spaces that allow for this type of behavior, because I understand you want to know what the facts are, but when you got people in the comments dropping paperwork, like,
But
and it ain't.
I do agree to an extent of what they're saying, though, because you can't just be judge and jury without proper context of what we're discussing and talking about. You can't just go and say, well, because we know, or the victim. What about these people that don't know the victim? They don't know, and
Everybody knows victim. Everyone knows someone who's been victimized to some degree.
Yes, but not by this person, though.
True.
Absolutely. But
And
that's
so
where empathy comes in.
So again, when we're saying it like that, there is a certain level of, man, because they don't know you either.
They don't know me. But if they did, they wouldn't question me. I can tell
you.
And I can tell you why.
Okay.
Because this is not something that I take lightly. And I stand on community.
Okay.
I don't make statements about people just frivolously. And the work that I do speaks for itself. Now, if you don't know me, you don't know me. And I get it. I don't seek to influence people who don't know me, because I'm not going to spend energy convincing you. My character leads me and guides me in how I engage with community. And so for those who need, there will always be someone that says we need more paperwork. Oh yeah, we can see the transcript of how we can see the text messages threads. We can see that people who weren't even in relationships with him have these denigrating things to say. We can see all of this, but we don't want to crucify him in the court of public opinion. Well, if you can sit and look at the preponderance of documentation that is easily verifiable online and say, well, it only says he was a defendant in multiple cases of stalking and abuse. But yeah, let's wait and see until he kills somebody or he hurts somebody in such a degree, then we can corroborate it. I think let's do that.
I mean, that's what we go on, though. That's the system.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's the system that I think most of us go by. Is when the judge says you're guilty, you're not guilty. Without concrete, then it's just
this is the point. We get into this. Well, what would be concrete to one person wouldn't be concrete to another, because all I gotta have is a conversation with a victim, as someone who is trained to suss out information from people who've been victimized to know whether I'm being, for lack of a better word, bullshitted or not. And so most folks don't get that kind of training from a mental health perspective. I understand that.
You're privy to it.
But when you sit down, with a woman who is telling you the most grotesque acts that a human being has done to them, and she's fighting back tears because she doesn't know if I'm a safe enough man for her to tell her story to, and she tells me anyway. And it puts me in such a let me not get emotional, because that's what I don't want to do. But it puts me in such a perspective that I become disgusted, not only with the men in our community, but myself, because I'm holding on to this information. And when she texted me the other day and told me thank you, I felt sick to my stomach, because I knew this information months before I made this post, and I held on to it. And so that could have saved someone else the trouble of engaging with this man. That sister that made that comment, that request in the group of anybody got any tea, I guarantee she don't date him, regardless of what the paperwork say, if she don't see the paperwork at all. So we have this selective outrage. If a white man was doing this to sisters, we would crucify him in public, in private, and he wouldn't be able to sit down comfortably.
But isn't that one of the issues we do have is nowadays with the movements is that we just rush to judgment?
I mean,
there's a lot of people, huh?
I don't rush to judgment.
Okay.
Because
it's now if you're wrong, are you willing to stand?
If I'm wrong, I'm willing to stand.
Come on this and stand on being wrong.
I am. Because that's the other side of being a man, is being humble enough and not leading into hubris to reject my own ego in the face of supporting community, because he is a community member. Why would I want to sit here and defame another man who, on the surface, and I mean the very thin surface, is out promoting positivity for Black men especially, but for the Black community as a whole? I love that if it were what it were.
This is the kind of shit that'll get you killed on the yard or the streets, bro. You are not judge and jury.
I'm not judging and jurying anybody. I am stating something that is impacting our community. People have no problems putting dumb shit on social media. You have no problem.
You looked over at me, Shopkulture. That's cold blood, bro. I'm bad.
But people have no problem putting dumb shit about celebrities on social media. Oh yeah, R. Kelly peed on these little girls. You didn't need no evidence for that. But you still listen to his music. You know, there's a lot of people who they have selective outrage. Why do we not want to believe victims is the question.
But honestly, because it goes deeper than that, because I think we are trying to find the balance of whether or not somebody's a victim or not, because a lot of times for some of us, we have been on the other side of somebody lying and defaming our name.
I've been there.
So I know what it looks like. This is another reason why, and I'm great that you're on this platform, because we got to talk about the other side of it. Is, again, when we say things about somebody, we don't really know. Especially when you're saying, I was one of those people. And you know how that feeling is.
I know how
that feeling that doesn't leave.
It's the kind of feeling that makes you question life itself. It is the kind of thing that when you've been accused of something that you didn't do, and there are women who know the system backwards and forwards, they know how to use it for their advance. Mm-hmm. On the other side of that, does anyone know the statistics on how many women who are raped actually get justice? I can tell you that the percentage is so small that most women who are sexually assaulted and raped don't have these conversations.
25%?
It's probably less than that.
I'd say
that get justice.
It's extremely small. I can say that when I was active duty, when I was stationed overseas, I worked in military justice, and not one rape case went to trial. And there were some, and neither one were said. He said yes, she said no. Yes, I took her, excuse my language, took her tampon out and did her anyway. Did not go to trial because she wasn't a good witness. And there's so many rape cases that don't. And the thing is, that's why a lot of women don't come forward when they're assaulted, because of what they go through. After the assault, they have to go through the, what were you wearing? What were you doing? What did you say? Why did you go there? There's a lot of blame put on women. Mm-hmm. Will I be believed?
Most of the time, not.
Quite often, it could be, well, maybe he thought you were consenting.
And real quickly, because somebody is asking why I'm asking these are the questions that we need to ask.
Yeah.
And if you came into the barbershop, and I've been in this shop, and people have made accusations on somebody, yes, we're going to ask it. Yeah. Now it's up to each and every one person to decipher whether or not you want to believe or not believe,
or look into it.
Your prerogative. Now, the reason why he's on this show is because he made the post public.
Yeah,
he's the one who stated the person, along with several other people that are saying this. I still think that this is a case. Listen, we're not here to solve the case, because at the end of the day, I don't know. It's a lot to me that's still out there. You got to ask yourself, I mean, there's some trauma someplace.
It's a lot of trauma out here.
Now, is everybody making up things? That many? That's a lot to make up. I mean,
This comment says, try not to get anyone in trouble, but all those 47 cases are coming if anyone wants to call defamation. Looks like it would be a big fail.
Yeah.
There's a
what did they say? I didn't see.
And then Angie says, but 47 cases in Washington though, and more in another state. Everyone can't be lying on this person.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to sue me for defamation and libel, I think.
But again, those are cases.
I would dare say I am not talking about anything that isn't public record. I haven't stated anything that isn't public record. I haven't stated anything that I haven't both engaged with on a personal level with him at my event, which I have the right to speak on. But more so, my problem is that it took a man to speak on this before it got traction. What is that about? Like, let's talk about the nature of what this fragility of being called out looks like in men. Like, it takes me to do it in order for it to gain some traction. I saw the dates on some of those posts, and it's been going on for a long time, but it took me, someone who has very slight interaction with this situation. I have one instance of someone I know personally who's been deeply impacted by this man to this day. And I still waited to make the comments that I made and make the post that I made. Only when it became so egregious did I just share what was already out there. That's like you see a post about a favorite recipe. You don't know if the recipe tastes good. You don't know if all the ingredients is in there that's going to be good for you. You share the recipe because I'm intrigued by that. That's a good looking recipe. This situation right here, I look at it no different. I'm engaging with content that is useful to the community, that if this man didn't have these 47 plus cases just in Washington state, no, I wouldn't even have posted it. I would not have engaged with it because I don't know the recipe. Okay. But if I got speeding tickets, if I got 1,000 speeding tickets, you'd probably say I'm speeding. No one would question because I got pulled over numerous times for speeding. No one would say, hey, you like to speed? It's right here in the documents. So why is it that when we start calling out predators in our community, everyone will start hemming and hawing? And I ask how much.
Because you got situations real quickly like Michael Irvin is going through right now. Guys, look up what Michael Irvin is going through.
Michael Irvin is also wealthy, and there's a payout that can come from that.
But there's not a payout going on. He's about to make some money off of this one. This one was totally frivolous on that.
It was fabricated.
Yes, big time.
They had video like evidence of that.
But what I'm saying is, for every case, there are alternative sides to it, right?
There's always
is that fair to say?
So let me ask you this.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question with a question. Would you ask this question of your sister?
Oh, now you're getting personal now.
I have to, because if I say that I'm about community and supporting community, I default. I want to know what took place. Of course, that's going to be the static question in the room. What took place to get to this degree? And when
it would take a lot less for me.
Your sister.
But I said that. Yeah, I did say that about 20 minutes ago, and I'm just being honest about that.
But what happens
when it comes to sisters around? Oh, y'all.
But what happens when it's not your sister, but then it's sisters in the community?
Oh shoot! I mean, and that's fair.
Because if this was black women, because this isn't black women, let's just call it out what it is. It's not black.
Oh
women.
wait.
Some of them are not black. Most of them are not black, from what I saw.
So they're still women.
But to my point, he's leveraged the black community in his defense because they're non-black women. Because if this was sisters going through this, I guarantee you a lot less of these questions would be victim blaming.
You think so?
I hope so. But I also am a little pie in the sky when it comes to my hopes for the community.
I think it's
victim blaming happens regardless.
Absolutely.
Yes. But women, yes, I think it's crossed.
Yeah.
Crossed the
unfortunately.
Oh, some of these cases have judgments.
Ooh.
Oh.
Like somebody was saying earlier, it seems as if you can go in and just pay because it's public knowledge. It's all public record.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of going in and properly getting that process to where you can actually see what the nature of those cases are, which,
And you can file a Freedom of Information Act and get transcripts for just about anything. Because that's the law. I mean, you can do that with the federal government. And so unless it's someone who's redacted, who has a special clearance. All of those, like every word he stated in court, they have a stenographer there to record that. Every word that these victims stated in court has a stenographer there. So then if they heard some of the things that I've heard, well, that's just one person. Because there's always a him and haw. Ah, that's just that case. But we don't know about the other 46 plus.
Yeah.
Wait, are you guys saying that you don't need to go and pay for this information? You can just go and pull up the nature of whether, let's just say you want to see if someone was found guilty or not, or whatever the charge is. You can just go and pull that up. Is that what you guys are saying in the comments?
I think these women are better detectives than I am, and they would know more
you
about
can
it
go to the
than I
court
do.
system and you can go find cases and you can go look at documents. It costs money to print them out.
But I do want to say and state, though, you said, again, if this is all found,
To be unsubstantiated, I will come in here and retract and give my most heartfelt apology, because it's not about my ego. And at the end of the
then
day,
$10,000.
$2,000 for
Ten.
what?
No,
For what?
For
what?
I was trying to get some money. Okay.
You know,
His little side hustle. Your little side hustle.
My goal is never to approach a situation this lightly. And although it might seem like somebody might infer that I have a vendetta against him, and I challenge you to bring forth any information that would suggest that. When I tell you that, like, I can
we ask this question?
Yes.
And without getting too personal, are any of these victims cross between you and this person? Meaning you guys messed with?
No, we don't have any. I don't have any intimate relationship.
Because we realize that's important. Because
I understand.
yes,
Yeah,
you gotta ask that.
Wait, what's the question, Barry?
Do I have any intimate connection to any of the people that I'm reporting on behalf of?
Oh, okay.
No, and I don't. Anyone that I've posted their content, I don't have any personal relationship, and actually I don't know any of them. I actually only became friends with some of them after I saw
wait,
them.
hold on.
Dom.
We need you, because this is
No, that's too juicy for me.
no.
The bad pudding man has
What's
arrived.
going on,
Oh, the
Dom?
Pudding Man?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, what's happening?
Wait.
Oh,
No,
hey.
where you going, Dom?
No, that's too juicy.
Hey, he's standing on principle. You see that?
Wait,
Hey.
how many did you bring?
I was four, y'all.
Hey.
Awesome.
You don't need now. You said you was working out. You trying to stay fit for the summertime, so I'll go ahead and handle yours.
Man,
I'm old. I need energy because I'm old, so I should take his.
Well, that sugar actually will be counterintuitive to your energy profile. So
Don't use logic on me.
you know how many times I heard that statement before.
real quickly, that was a good one. Man, it's just hardening. They're really disheartening, man. Either way, it's disheartening. And
it's a hard conversation all around, but awareness is, and that's the thing. You know, we were gonna, like you said earlier, we were gonna have this conversation anyways.
Yeah.
It just this whole thing though, just the way that it came together is just kind of weird and crazy at the same time. So it's just like because
I wanted to have this discussion with you, because I wanted to see
but
how valid were some of these claims. Because
but also
if you look at the post is
crazy.
It speaks for
crazy.
itself.
And you guys, man, go and take a look at the post, and you can kind of decipher some of the
With that being
content on there.
Well, let me say this real quick.
Go ahead.
I have in my Cash App right now a designation. This man supported my event openly. Like, he donated money to my event. And so I want that to be known, because I think folks won't get it misconstrued like I got some type of vendetta, and I don't. This brother, from before I knew what I knew, he was welcome at all my events. He was welcome in my spaces. He was welcome to engage me to the point where he supported me. And I don't take this lightly. And I don't take the fact that people are victim blaming lightly. That doesn't direct towards me. The women and the people in the comments who've been victimized, when they see your responses to some of the things we've talked about, they will develop their own perspectives on you personally. And so just think about that while you sit here and dismiss the numerous instances where women have said, hey, I've been abused, or the businesses that have been impacted. I've been defrauded.
Right, because it's this the whole thing with these allegations with the women, and then there's the other side of it where he's apparently defrauding other individuals in the community.
Alleged.
right?
It's alleged.
Right. I'm gonna say alleged because I don't know we don't
It's
shop
alleged.
culture don't know the
Alleged
particulars.
with air quotes.
We don't know
Well,
the particulars.
I don't,
But with
yeah.
that being said, you know, you do from based off what I seen on that post, you had people ranging from past employers to individuals that he, you know, was fellowshipping with and banging out, you know, these different events with coming out and you know, giving their testimony against dude. Even like right here, was he guilty or not? 47 is a lot. Is he still living? My cousin's baby mom and girlfriend teamed up to call the police on him to get his ass beat, and both of them still had sexual relations with him.
So-
Shit seems like he should be gone.
Yeah.
So my
there's
man
just a
Armani
lot.
knows.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So do y'all
flying
understand
around.
the
My
nature-
cousin's baby mom and girlfriend teamed up to call. That,
Wow.
If
So-
I read that right.
Wow.
I hope I-
So-
yeah.
did we read that right? Can you
Yeah.
put that?
Armani, did I read that right?
That's what it looked like.
Teamed up.
Here we go. Could you show this?
My cousin, baby mama, and girlfriend. Yeah. I think that's what he.
That's what it looks like.
And,
Yeah.
and
BM.
beat
yeah.
both of them.
Yeah, but they don't have.
Still had sexual
There's no label on it,
relations
but
with
you still show it.
So, you know, let's talk about the nature of abuse. If we're gonna sit here and victim blame, let's talk about the nature of abuse. We know that women in situations of intimate partner violence, it's very similar to what happens with addiction. It takes numerous times to separate from an abuser, even after calling the police in certain instances, to get away from an abuser. I watched my mother go through this. I watched women in the community go through this, to the point where when I was a child, my mother's best friend was murdered with a butcher knife by her significant other.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this is not something that should be taken lightly. And the fact that this man has this many instances, and it ain't alleged because there's documentation to show that he did at least do something here.
Okay.
He did something.
Okay.
He did something.
Okay.
And so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like he didn't. And I'm not going to sit here and act like these women haven't been victimized and are continually being victimized, because the stories that they're telling me, what do they benefit telling me their stories? I'm nobody. What does it benefit them DMing me when we're not even friends, telling me, hey, thank you for sharing this instance because no one believed me? There's something about hearing that statement. I think about it, my sister, my mom, when she was sexually assaulted as a child and as an adult. No one believed them. And so now I'm shifting out of community responsibility to the personal impact that it has on me, because I think I have intellectualized this too much. I didn't show my deep personal connection to how I feel.
I'm gonna have you spell that because that's a big one down there. You doing that?
My apologies. I don't seek to make people feel small.
He's definitely fucking with you.
I like the word. I'm like,
he know that word.
Hey, hold on, I'm about to put that in there. Yeah.
Stop.
I'm gonna have a post right real
Stop.
quick.
Yeah.
This brother's a professor.
Well, I mean, I've taught a lot.
Yeah,
but
I
I'm
get it.
also a student to the women who have brought me up and who've empowered me to be the warrior that I am for community. Because without the women who laid down their lives for me, whether it be my grandmother, my mother, my auntie, especially, right? Like when I got in trouble in Korea, I ain't gonna talk about what for. We can talk about that at some point if you want. But when I got
have you back on,
when I got it,
because you know people are gonna be looking at your background because hey, you
look at
pointed the finger at somebody.
look at my
So your
background.
background. is
Look
gonna
at my
come
background.
to-
You will see a distribution charge.
Oh.
You will see.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you will see
Let
a
me look it
distribution charge. You will see, but you will see more about the work I do in community than you will about my criminal record, because I have one and done.
Okay.
I did get in trouble in the military because I was attacked by 10 people who looked just like us, and I ended up stabbing one of them as a mode of self-defense because that's what I was trained to do. And because there was no one to corroborate my story, hence I was a victim of a situation where no one believed me, despite the fact that I was the only sober person in the situation. It took 10.5 months for me to get acquitted. And I was acquitted on my word against 10 people in the military, where
No, that don't usually happen like
that
bro.
don't happen like that.
Oh man, we got a lot. So the next time
Yeah, we have.
we're gonna do,
My
we're gonna
brother.
have to do background on this, my brother here,
Hey,
because people are gonna ask, and that's just the way it is, though.
Yeah.
We live in times in society now
Yeah.
that, fair or not,
Yeah.
is that when people make allegations, we
It's
gotta
a-
look at them.
it's an assertion. It ain't an allegation, because
Oh, wait.
an allegation implies that there is wiggle room. I ain't wiggling my ass out of no 47 cases.
Mm.
I stand on it.
Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, bro, me and this guy can go back and forth.
It is what
Right.
it is.
Man, I still think from an overall, and we all can agree in shop culture, it's unfortunate.
Very
Period.
much so.
Now, whether or not we want to find the person guilty or not guilty, it's still an unfortunate situation. And we need to talk about situations like this in our community, because a lot of times, unfortunately, like I said, when it comes to the shop, like you said earlier, cousins, friends, and we joke about it. Hey, don't go around such and such. Don't leave your sister or your friend.
Don't drink.
Don't drink around there, and we laugh about it. It's not really. It's not.
I
Funny.
don't.
No,
laugh
it's
about
not
it.
funny at all.
I don't.
And I ain't gonna. Cause I used to laugh about stuff like that for real until I had a friend that was in a situation, and the shit is real.
It changed your whole perspective.
Right.
It does.
It hit
So,
home. It home for you.
It does. It does hit home. So when I hear this, I'm gonna talk about it. You guys might not like it. You guys might not like it. It's content on Shop Culture SK. Well, you want it real. This is about as real as this man came on, said what he had to say. You might disagree, but
and subjected myself to persecution, because this isn't going to be the end of this.
No, especially after this broadcast.
This is not going to be, and I'm subjecting myself to persecution because it's something that I care that much about. I had to be mindful of what I say, because I am a representative of the mental health field. I have to be cautious about what I say. But when I sit in spaces with people who have been victimized, when I've been victimized myself and I know what it is, I've been on the other side of it. I've been defamed. And so I know what that feels like. What has to happen is we have to have conversations, because if I know your sister hanging around somebody.
What's up with my sister being?
Well, hey, it could be anybody's sister. If I know, as I look in the camera right now, if I know your sister, your daughter, your mom, your auntie, if I know she's hanging around someone who has been suspected of hurting women, you would hold me accountable for that information I know and not sharing it. If you don't, I don't know what kind of character you have. It's as simple as that. I am not doing this for my own benefit. We have to protect each other, regardless of whether someone's black, white, brown, whatever. We got to make sure that we hold people accountable, but we also got to protect each other, because that's supposed to be who we are as a community.
If we're really about our community too, the black community, we got to be raw with it. We got to put it all out there. You got to hold folks accountable. Man, this is a lot to unpack. That's why I haven't been saying anything, more so just listening, just getting as much information as possible.
There's a lot of fear behind this.
Very deep subject.
Right, but it's one that needs to be unpacked.
Fear about what?
So
fear about being like, no one wants to be the first person to speak up. No one wants to be the first person to volunteer something that's going to be detrimental to someone's
or
life.
Us being a platform allowing said individual to come and put even more of a bigger spotlight on the situation at hand. Because
we're opening the platform to.
But those who know who's been down with Shop Culture know that. They know that we do. We don't shy away from shit like this. Like we have.
And honestly, man, I've heard some of these allegations over the last year, so it wasn't like this was just something that popped up. And I think it is a fair space for him to come and be able to say and defend this. If he so happens to be more than welcome.
We've extended the invitation. Like,
we're gonna do it again.
And I would be mindful of the way you conduct that interview. And I would say that, because I saw a couple of the names of people who've been victimized by him pop up on that thread.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, I would preface to him to refrain from utilizing victim's name because that's a form of intimidation.
Right.
And if they have protection orders against him and he uses their names as in a public platform to ostracize or denigrate, it'll be another charge he gets, because that's illegal too. So I think when it comes to bringing victimizers versus victims on, I think you have to be mindful of how you engage with that content, because what's going to happen is you're going to re-traumatize women all over
and
again.
See that, and
that's the reason why we at first wanted to because we seen, and actually somebody sent me your post, and then somebody else sent me, so 5 other people sent me the same post,
right?
And they were like, "Are you going to discuss and talk?" I was like, "Well, again, let me talk to the person." And when I talked to you and I asked you, I said, "Hey, do you want to go on Front Street with this?" And you said, "Man, you told me what?
You told me, would you hit me up 2 days ago?
Yep.
And we here right now. If I had something to hide or something to benefit from this, it would be easily sussed out. If there was a reason that I'm doing this other than what I'm stating, it would be easily sussed out. I don't think we live in an age where it's not difficult to find people's motivations. And so if I got ulterior motives for this, which some people might assume I do, I dare you to name them. I dare you to name them.
What do you guys say to this? Or B, what do you say to this? Why would he talk about this during ongoing investigations, trials, etc.? Let's not be so unrealistic, y'all. I'll try to tackle okay. that before you.
Okay.
In my opinion, if none of this shit is true, then what is there? Why wouldn't he come and, you know, defend, clear his name, whatever have you? And I think it's important to get this is where I'm gonna go with it. I'll put a bullet in like this. I'll say this. It's important to get all sides of the story. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We got this, we have this man, you know, we have LaShawn giving his testimony, going to bat for the community, women and anybody who's come across him and apparently who's been done a foul by this dude. And he's, you know, he's giving his input. I think it would just be only fair to, you know, if man in question,
but if it's ongoing, we
don't. That's the thing, though. We don't know. We don't know we don't know what's going on. We're only going off of what's being presented, what's being said. Yeah. So the way I'm seeing it is to get the big picture as to what is going on, what is versus what isn't. I mean, he would definitely be able to help, you know, clarify some shit. Now, if it is something that's if there's an investigation or whatever that's going on, then
there's a way you can conduct those interviews as well.
But he can discuss it that's closed.
If you have a bunch of stuff that's closed, you can discuss that.
Right.
If you have ongoing, I can't talk about that because it's currently ongoing investigation. But I acknowledge my whatever the fuck. Excuse me. But
just after 9, you can curse.
But also, you can't expect someone who has narcissistic tendencies to show up in any way other than as a narcissist.
Okay. Now see, bro. Now, okay. Whew.
Okay.
That's a totally different.
So,
yeah.
It's all germane. It's all germane to the conversation.
Okay.
Because
hold on. This is because I wasn't clear on this either because I'm ignorant to, you know, all this judicial shit.
Legalities.
Right. The individual is facing 46 or 47 charges. Are these charges? Are these cases that have been since like they're closed?
Are they open?
What's open? Because, you know, when I went and checked it out, I just saw the number of cases. Yeah. As far as like them being open or closed, I didn't see that. So that is a good question.
There are protection orders that are visible. Actually, when I added those protection orders to the post, I marked out the names of them because I didn't want to trigger someone else who was victimized.
Right.
Thank you, Andre.
But you know, if you can sit here and say that in any instance that if someone you know were to tell you that they interacted with this man and their experiences were just like what is being described in that post, and you would sit there and ask them, all right, but I need more context and information. I mean, yeah, it shows he was stalking you in these documents, but I mean, what is stalking really? I mean, because that's where we're going. We're going, what is stalking really? What is abuse really? Because abuse means different things to different people. I'm going to tell you right now, the women and some children who are witnessing this take place are going to feel a certain kind of way about you siding with a predator, because either you're on the side of justice or you're on the side of a predator.
Who now?
Justice can mean this man gets vindicated.
It's deep.
Justice could mean this man gets vindicated.
I think it's more layers to that, though.
I'm someone that there is justice from the community standpoint. There's justice from the legal standpoint. But I will tell you this: if a woman sits in front of me and says, "Hey, I know I got nothing to benefit from hearing this information," but if any one of the people listening to this have been victimized by not just him, but anybody else, and they need someone to listen to their stories and need someone to help them process that, you got my information. Because what I'm not going to do is fucking tap dance around the rights of a supposed sexual predator in the community when victims are sacrificing their safety and their comfort to jump on this thread. And hey, you know what? He's telling the truth. I'm telling you what they've told me.
Okay, we're gonna have
Yeah.
to
Wrap it up.
goodness. Yeah.
Before we go, though.
Oh my goodness.
Banana
brother.
pudding. Don's banana pudding.
But,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the pudding, by the way.
definitely we'll have more
Yes.
conversations about stuff like this in the community. Damn, this was a can of worms if I ever.
Yeah, because some of the uncles and their daddies is out here predators too. So their cousins is out here touching on their daughters
And
they don't know about
boyfriends and
it. Boyfriends,
stepfathers.
and unfortunately, what it looks like is excuse after excuse after excuse. So yeah, I'm quite serious. To
Well, I'm gonna tell you, man. It looked like from what I'm seeing in the comments, which is a lot, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, it's definitely
And
yeah.
guys,
And we appreciate your input,
we
whether
do
you
because
agree
this is
with
what
it
this,
or not.
Yes.
You know, this is what awareness is all about. Everybody giving their input on something that is crucial and very much, vital to our community, and it needs this spotlight.
Yeah.
Not just this in particular, but just in general.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a general conversation. That
we allegedly had.
Oh wow.
I'm an asshole at the end of the day, man.
Ooh-wee.
I mean, I don't suffer a lot of nonsense. And when it comes to people who've been victimized,
but you also do see the alternative.
I see the
viewpoint,
alternative,
though, and I think that's fair to have. And I don't think that we can be dismissive of somebody that talking, because the paperwork, I can understand what somebody's saying behind that.
Yeah.
Everybody's hurting with this.
I know I am.
Yes.
So I didn't sleep the night that I made that post. I stayed up until about 3 a.m. going through people's messages and affirming their position and showing them that, hey, you know what? I'm not even from here, but this is my community. And maybe that's what it takes. Maybe it takes an outsider to sit here and have this conversation against someone who has deep roots in the community, because he is gatekept. He is protected by some affluent people in this community. And so there will be people who dismiss what we say in this podcast. There'll be people who call for my head, whatever the case may be. Let's have that conversation. And if I find out that I'm talking out my ass, then I have no problem sitting here as a man, retracting everything that I said that has been proven to be false. But with that, I also think people should acknowledge the fact that when the truth is spoken, especially in an uncomfortable conversation, it should be acknowledged and it should be applauded and lauded as loud as the vindication. But that won't happen. It'll be people questioning the victims. It'll be people, hey, he ain't never done me this way. It'll be plenty of people who still support him. And that is your prerogative. But at the end of the day, I stand with victimized individuals. And that's my platform.
All right.
Well, on that note,
what a conversation.
Very heavy, very necessary.
I need a few drinks.
Man, tequila. gang.
Tequila.
Scorpio.
Oh my God. It's Tuesday, right?
Hey.
Damn, I wish it was Friday.
Oh, shop culture, y'all.
Yeah.
That's when the voice gets deep. Shop culture.
Yeah.
See when I get back.
And I'm sorry that the people who were victimized, I'm sorry that the people who were victimized had to witness their community turn on them for the sake of someone who they probably don't even know. But because of the narratives that take place around victimization, we have to sit here and we have to do these alleged things, because libel and defamation lawsuits are a real thing. But at the end of the day, man, we got to support each other, regardless of just this one individual. We got to look out for each other, because this world is getting worse and worse every day. We just lost Brother Elijah to some senseless violence in Capitol Hill. And again, prayers and condolences and strength to that man's family. But definitely, he's one of how many at this point? And so we have to do more. We have to stand up. We have to stand in the gap. We have to be soldiers and warriors for our people. And what that looks like is going to look very different for each of us. But we got to figure out where we draw the line in the sand. Where do you show up? Where do you show up? Yeah, where do you show up? Because at some point, someone's going to test your resolve. And you're going to have the opportunity to show, hey, you know what? I stand on the side of people who've been victimized, regardless if they don't make good witnesses. And that's it.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, bye. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you for coming on to the show.
And we went a little longer because conversation that needed to be had.
Yeah.
I'm a little long-winded too, though.
Oh man, no, bro. Man, applaud you, your stance and what you stand for.
Right.
You show your resolve, and that takes a man to put it on the line, brother. So props to you on that.
And I will continue to tell everyone who sends me a message of that regard, it's not what I'm doing it for. So please don't thank me. You should be thanking the victims who had the courage to stand up and share those instances. I'm nobody in this situation. I'm just the mouthpiece that told the story. I'm like a reporter in that regard, right?
We
Like,
appreciate you, Dom. Thank you for dropping the pudding off.
Yeah,
hey,
thank you,
I'm
Dom.
gonna let
Yes.
them know how I go though.
All right, okay, yeah. Make sure we get it. We actually have to get it on video, the response. So
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Shop Culture Tuesdays, 8:00. Gone.
All right.
See you next time.
Yeah.
Real time.